G'day, my name is Bill, these are the bots, welcome to the video. Now after quite a break, sorry about that guys, today we're going to be taking a look at Age of the Primes Voyager class Sideways. Now for those of you that are a little bit confused, yes, this is the second Age of the Primes Sideways, with the first coming out last year in the Cybertron Anniversary line, which was a bit embarrassing considering the whole Anniversary line was just 2 figures, and only one of those 2 was a new mold. But that new mold was this figure, Transformers Cybertron Sideways, or Noise Mace if you fancy. Whereas this figure is Transformers Armada Sideways, which I don't blame you for not knowing, as the box for both of these figures just says Sideways on it. Ironic that in a line called Age of the Primes, Sideways gets 2 figures, whereas Optimus Friggin' Prime only gets 1, which is quite funny, I guess. Anyways, the paints and plastics on this guy are amazing, with them feeling very solid and dense, just like the Age of the Primes Brawl from Wave 1. Also, the joints on this figure are awesome, all of them being very tight, except for the right shoulder, which on my copy is quite loose and always comes free when trying to move the arms, which gets frustrating when trying to pose the figure. The paint on this figure is rather minimal, with it being mostly relegated to the shins, torso, and forearms, with most of the colour being made up by the lovely purple plastic, which is really nice to look at. The sculpting on this figure is rather minimal, which makes sense as this figure is based on the Armada cartoon, and being so is a rather simple design. But comparing him to how he looked in the show, it's pretty spot on. With all the greebling on the purple plastic and the stunning golden highlights, it's just an overall very pleasing figure to look at. Now for the fun part, the head sculpt. And I know what you're thinking, but Bill, there's nothing special about this head sculpt. In fact, it looks a little dinky. Well, except for the handlebar ears, that's pretty cool. And you're right, kind of. You see, Sideways here isn't an Autobot, nor is he a Decepticon. He is in fact a double agent, if you will, and is playing both sides for his true master, Unicron. And because it was Armada, Sideways had to incorporate the line-wide gimmick of minicons. In case of this new toy, the team at Hasbro have decided to include a minicon packed in with this figure. Except, in a terrific plot twist, Sideways doesn't just have one minicon, that's right, he has 2. And they are not just minicons, they are also headmasters. That's right, you can fold away the base head and transform either the Autobot Rook or the Decepticon Crosswise and pop your respective headmaster into the 5mm neck port, and voila, Sideways is now ready for some corporate espionage. Also, the faction badge can be flipped back and forth between Autobot and Decepticon to match with the headmasters, although I would have liked for it to be a 3-sided slider, with just one side being blank. When I have the base Sideways head on, I can't decide between Autobot or Decepticon. Now, the individual sculpts on the minicon's head modes are very cool. Rook, the Autobot one, has a mysterious ninja look, a la Nightbird, which is a little strange for the Autobot one, but hey. He also has some weird ear antlers due to the arms of the minicon not having anywhere to go, which is an interesting look. And weirdly, he has red eyes, whereas the Decepticon one has yellow eyes. Speaking of which, crosswise here, the Decepticon one is also keeping up the ninja look, with this head looking pretty much the exact same design, with the side blocks, the mask, and the forehead crest, only this time it's grey with yellow eyes. Also, the antlers on this one are even bigger, as they are the legs for the robot mode. And I mean, these antlers are massive, which does limit the articulation, but it does look pretty cool, so it's a bit of a trade-off, if you will. The articulation on this figure is pretty standard for a 2026 Voyager, with his waist swivel, ankle pivots, and unintentional butterfly joints due to the transformation. Although the head is a weird one, as the base head is on a ball joint which can swivel and look around very nicely, whereas the headmasters only rotate as they are on a 5mm peg, which is a little disappointing. For accessories, Sideways comes with these 2 sticks which he can hold in his hands, or if you're a normal person, they can plug onto the forearms for some animation accuracy. He also comes with these 2 bits which are the wheels in bike mode, and they peg onto the back. Now for the fun bit, the minicons, Rook and Crosswise. These are some pretty cool little figures. In robot mode for these 2, they are, well, weirdly articulated, with them only being half articulated. Rook has ball joints at the elbows and shoulders, with the legs being a separate static piece of plastic. Crosswise has done nothing to hide the robot mode head, just like his buddy Rook, with it just being the torso of the minicon's robot mode. At least it's upside down, so it could have been worse. Also, the head is just an unpainted 5mm peg, but at least he can pull a somewhat of a pose with the ball jointed legs and the, well, fully static arms that plug into the back of the figure. Not a bad set of minicons / headmasters. Oh, and that's not all they do. Yes, here we have the minicons combined form, which I don't think has a name. Oh well. And it's a really cool little figure, which combines the better parts of both minicons, and just looks really cool. I mean, a double headmaster and a combiner? Now that's a really unique idea. So as comparisons, here is Age of the Primes Armada Sideways, with Legacy United Armada Wheeljack, Age of the Primes Flatline, and SS86 Shockwave. So, let's get cracking on that bike mode. The transformation is quite an interesting one. I'm not familiar with the original Armada toys transformation, but this one is really entertaining. Something annoying though is the way the wheels pop off when you try to transform this figure. It is an issue, but it's nothing too terrible. But what you're left with is quite an alt mode. By quite an alt mode, I mean quite a wide alt mode. It definitely would not be very aerodynamic, but it is animation accurate. And well, there's not too much to say in this mode. It's a bike, what more do you want? I do quite like all the gold highlights, even more on display in this mode, and had a very nice pop of variety to the sea of purple. I also find it interesting that if you take a look at it from the top, it starts off very skinny with the front wheel, and gets wider with the front of the bike, and then even wider with the back of the bike, which is just the legs folded up into a giant chunk, which is a bit strange, but again, it's accurate. It does have a kickstand, which is helpful if you want to display this guy in alt mode. Also, the baton pieces from the robot mode become the exhausts in bike mode, which is a nice detail. Something really cool in this mode is the fact that the handlebars for the bike are the ears of the robot mode, which is a detail I love. Speaking of the handlebars, you can use them by taking your Minicon combiner and seating them on the bike, just like in the show, which is a really cool feature. For size comparisons, here's Age of the Primes Armada Sideways, with Legacy United Armada Wheeljack, Age of the Primes Flatline, and SS86 Shockwave. And yes, he does roll, as all rolling things should. So all in all, very nice bike mode. It has got some great colours and some excellent play features, which really makes it stand out in my opinion amongst the other Age of the Primes voyages. To wrap up, I know this figure wasn't at the top of many people's want lists. I know he certainly wasn't on mine, as I always found this design a little bit goofy looking, but just like the Armada Railroad from last year, they have managed to take an okay design and turn it into a solid, well-rounded figure that I think deserves a solid 8 out of 10, and the inclusion of the Minicons that double as headmasters, well, that's just the cherry on top for me. But I do know that there was a bit of controversy with this guy being a Voyager, as he is more of a small Voyager in height, and well, with the price increase in the US, I can understand people's restraint with this figure. But I would say that the inclusion of not only one, but two Minicons that combine well and truly justifies this price. Also, the overall solidity of the figure and the perfect plastics definitely makes this figure well and truly worth the asking price. So I've been Bill, these were the bots. Until next time, have a good one.